Today on episode 20 of the Home of Play podcast, Ubisoft harassment scandal, our Xbox game showcase impressions, and Miles Morales going 60 frames per second. All that and more. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to episode 20 of the Home of Play podcast, where two best friends join forces to give you the latest in PlayStation rumors, news, reviews, and that's because we're PlayStation fans. I'm your host, Steve, and with me I'm joined by the king of platinum trophies himself, Christopher.
Hello, hello.
If you like this and would like to support the Home of Play podcast, please help make others aware through the power of word of mouth. Every month we are growing, and it's all because of you lovely gamers helping us to spread the cause. If you could also subscribe on your podcast service of choice, rate us 5 stars on iTunes or any other podcast service that allows it, it'd be extremely appreciated. If you have a burning comment, question, or complaint, we want to hear from you. Please send either of those to our email address, homeofplaypodcast@gmail.com, and we could read your question on the show while we defend each other's honor in Tsushima.
Defending your honor.
Honor. On today's episode, we have 6 articles to discuss.
But first, as always, let's begin with what we've been up to this last week. I'll start with you, Steve. What have you been playing this week?
Who's he talking about? Okay. Me, it has been a not so busy week for me for once. So lots of game time, and that game of choice was Tsushima, of course.
Have your impressions expanded on that one?
Maybe it's a little presumptuous of me, but it's already my game of the year.
Wow.
I think. I love it. It dropped in a time where I was like, oh, I want an open world game. I want Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I want anything that says open world. I think The Last of Us did something to me where I'm like, okay, I don't want this anymore. I don't want single player narrative, story driven game. I want this. And Tsushima came. It gave me everything I wanted. Are there little imperfections? Sure. But is it also one of the greatest looking games I've ever seen? Absolutely. Which is, I'm going to be the bigger man. I'm going to step out in front of it and say, like, I think I crapped on this game a couple months back because the trailer maybe it just couldn't reflect how great this game is going to look. But, like, once you're actually in it, I actually think I'm going to have difficulties playing other games now. Because the environments.
Are you saying Final Fantasy VII didn't fill that open world void for you?
Yeah, the straight hallways, the endless straight hallways, and shimmying and ladder climbing, and oh my god. Don't even get me started on that rant again. That is honestly number one of my disappointments this year.
For sure.
Number one. So yeah, going to the positive though, Tsushima's just been, I love the combat, I love stealth, I love the choice of both. I just like the development of my character. I'm enjoying the story. Is it, the 10 out of 10 deep story? No, but is it good? Yeah, like for sure. And I love everything about this game. I could not speak higher of it. I can't even sum it up into words. I'm just very happy right now. I think this is a good way to end our console generation.
Mm-hmm.
Holy moly, what a game to come out. I was an Infamous fan, so Sucker Punch, has a positive tone in my head, but this nailed it out of the park. This is better than anything they've ever come up with previous, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, how about yourself?
I can reflect that opinion as well. I'm really enjoying it. I'm not as far as you. I'm just loving it. Like, it's just, I find that I pick a street, like a path or a street or whatever. Not a street, I guess it's more of a path. And I just walk the path and just whatever I encounter, I deal with. And it's just fun. Like, there was one review I saw that was saying something about how it's a big world, but it feels empty. I'm like, I haven't had that experience. There's usually random encounters or random people you save, and they give you like maybe a hint at a location for something important.
Yeah,
stuff like that. I don't know. The story is fairly basic right now, anyway. Like, you're trying to save your uncle. Yeah, it's pretty much the main gist of it right now. But it's fun. I'm enjoying the other side characters. The upgrading of your weapons and stuff's good.
Before you get too far, though, I do want to reflect that I've played empty games before. I have played Breath of the Wild, probably the most empty open world game I've ever played in my life. So it's disheartening to hear somebody try to compare this to being empty when there's games like that get such high praise.
It's just so beautiful. Like you're just walking around and I remember a couple podcasts ago when we were talking about the photo mode, and nobody gives a shit about photo mode.
Yeah.
Okay. They did it right because, like, holy crap! Like, there's so many different features and tweaks.
You can
like
change
Spider-Man was good too.
Spider-Man was good, but this one you can change the time, but like any time. It's not. I think if I remember correctly, Spider-Man you could change like, okay, I want dusk, dawn, blah blah.
Yeah.
This you're changing the minutes.
7 p.m.
Yes, you're changing the weather. You're changing the wind direction. Like you can change all this stuff. Like I've never really seen an as intense photo mode.
Yeah, it's very nice. And I mean, it's still, I'm doing it on the console, so it's like, what do I do with those photos? But I got them.
Yeah.
They're nice.
I set mine as my title screen or something.
Yeah. No, I'm really enjoying it. I just based off of my first impression, I'd highly recommend it for anybody who's got a PlayStation. I was showing one of my younger cousins was here the other day, and she's like, she doesn't play a lot of games, but she, I think Call of Duty, Minecraft. But she's like, this is a really cool game. I'm like, yeah, go buy it.
Yeah,
like
go support.
Play a real game.
That
wasn't a zing at Minecraft, people. But anyways, that was, I haven't played a lot this week. I've been mixing it in. Like I said, the way my room is set up, between 5 and 9 p.m., it's a bright beacon of light, and it just ruins the experience a little bit. So I've been playing also Far Cry 5 again. I'm nearly done. I finished all the story stuff. Unfortunately, the game has some multiplayer trophies, so that's driving me a little crazy. I got like 2 or 3 left. I'm hoping to grind those out with a buddy of mine from work. So hopefully that'll be done and I can delete it and move on. And then I started the third Spyro. What is it called? Land of the Dragons or something? So
is it not Year of the Dragon?
Oh, Year of the Dragon. Yeah, you're right. Year of the Dragon. So that one, that company, I can't remember, something Bob. They did a good job remastering these games. I guess they're kind of a remake because it's totally different assets and redid all the worlds and everything, but it's good. But anyways, that's pretty much it for my week. Otherwise, personally, nothing else really going on.
Okay, that's enough of our introduction. Now let's just get into the news. Ghost of Tsushima is PS4's fastest selling first-party original IP debut. This one comes from IGN.
Ghost of Tsushima has become PlayStation 4's fastest selling first-party original IP debut, with over 2.4 million units sold through globally in the first 3 days following its July 17th, 2020 release date. PlayStation's Twitter revealed the news, marking the milestone for Sucker Punch's first game since infamous Second Son and First Light. For comparison, Horizon Zero Dawn sold over 2.6 million units in its first 2 weeks of sales. Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us Part 2, which recently became the fastest selling PS4 exclusive ever, with over 4 million copies sold in its first 3 days, have both proven to be worthy investments for Sony and are giving PS4 owners 2 impressive games before the launch of PlayStation 5 this holiday. Ghost of Tsushima is doing more than just selling well, as Sucker Punch has partnered with the Nagasaki Prefecture and Tsushima Island Tourism Associations to give real-life context of Tsushima Island and its major landmarks, as well as more info on the history of the Mongol invasions of Japan and Komodo Beach event. No, it's good. It's always good to see, first party game, new IP.
I'm just happy that it's Sucker Punch. They came out with a big wide swing, and it seems like it landed, and we can hope now we're either going to get a Tsushima 2, or maybe they're going to come back with some more Infamous, but it just means we don't have to worry about doors closing.
Well, I mean, like the way they did the Infamous 2 and then they did the Second Light, maybe we'll actually get a decent expansion or even a small DLC out of this game. There wasn't a season pass, if I recall.
No.
So, I mean, we might get an expansion at some point. It seems like a game
it's
that
not
you
an
could
impossibility. They did, I can't remember. Okay, so they did the horror vampire one for Infamous 2.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
I can't remember what it was called.
Can't remember what
and
it's
then it wasn't, you called it Dying Light?
No. First Light.
First Light. Okay, yeah. Then that was for Second Son.
Yeah, that was the one where he plays the girl.
Yes. So yeah, like it's not an impossibility, and they might want to capitalize on a property they didn't expect to be as popular. But even reading the numbers in my head, I'm like, yeah, it's COVID times, right? In my opinion, it just makes sense that we're seeing numbers that gaming's doing better than it's ever done in the last decade.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that this one's knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, and it, like I said, we gave our brief impression at the beginning. Like, it's great. I have very little complaints about it.
Yep.
Like, I'm not even seeing like any I haven't seen, to my knowledge, any graphical bugs or anything like that.
I found the rain a little like iffy, but it's not the worst I've seen.
And the only other thing that kind of was annoying was, I think, some of the AI when you're attacking a fort. If you just step out a certain range of the fort, all the enemies just kind of return back to their post.
Oh,
I don't know if you've had that.
No, I didn't. Even...
Yeah, well, unless it was just this one fort, but yeah, I went and attacked him. I was getting overwhelmed, so I ran.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I hit a certain point, all the guys kind of just stood there and stared at me, and then just walked back to their posts.
Oh.
So I don't know if that's just. I mean, I guess I don't expect them to chase me till the ends of Earth either, but it was like I was just standing right in front of them, and it's like I passed an invisible line. But apart from that, like, great game.
That guy killed my brother, but he's out of the fort now.
He's out of the fort.
He's out of the fort.
He may as well be gone. He's gone.
He doesn't exist. He doesn't exist. He crossed the barrier.
We'll go into article number 2. This one will be a little bit more beefier for us. Everything revealed in the Microsoft's Xbox Game Showcase. We got the list from Destructoid, so we'll kind of go through them one at a time, and just, if we have an opinion, there's some that I don't really have too much of an opinion on. So the first one was the first real look at Halo Infinite. We got a little bit of a cinematic, and then we got actual gameplay demo. So what was your impression on that one? It's getting it's getting slammed on a lot of different angles online that I'm seeing. But
it's hard not to be negative, especially since I'm usually the negative one out of the two of us.
I can go negative if you want.
I feel like it's getting enough hate that I don't have to jump on that bandwagon, but definitely, okay, I should state right away, I'm not the Halo guy. I'm not, I think we've talked about this many times before.
Confirmed.
I'm not a first-person shooter guy either, so, whatever, but I never loved the weird physics, the stupid cartoony jumps. Seeing it now, it more than ever has resonated with me that this is how we talked about Kingdoms of Amalur,
the re-reckoning.
Yeah. We talked, or I think I said like it looked a little too much like WoW for me, and that's why I never played the first time.
Right.
I'm starting to realize Halo's the WoW of first-person shooters. Like it's cartoony, right? Like you look at that little enemy and he's like, and he jumps, and I'm like, this is kind of like cartoony now. Like maybe this like didn't jump out at us at the time because this game's existed for 15 years or more. But coming into it now, where we're seeing things like Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima, even Gears is like more serious than this, and it just stands out more to me that I'm like, yeah, this kind of feels like a little cartoony, a little jokey, and with the villains, or at least the ones that seem here, like are kind of hokey. If I'm going to use all these words today, and yeah, it's just the graphics were a huge disappointment, and it's easy to label me as the PlayStation fanboy, and you're just saying this because you're a PlayStation guy doing a PlayStation podcast. But I'm like, in all honesty, like I'm not making money off of PlayStation sales, so
no.
I'm
I
not.
want games to succeed everywhere.
Exactly, and Halo can exist without me. That's not a problem for me either. And so but seeing this, and again, not getting a paycheck from anyone, I just. We saw fog clip in and out. I thought you said it the best.
I didn't even have to look that up. I saw it when I was watching the demo. I saw it go.
And you said it the best. That villain at the end when he comes in a full form, it looked like Oblivion graphics on the PS3. I've never seen anything look so bad in a long time.
It looked rough to me for sure.
Yeah.
So I definitely played a good amount of the Halos. I played the original 3 ODST. I think I did Reach. I think it was like maybe the last 2 of them I didn't really touch. And I mean, I miss the days when it was Bungie. So when I see this made by 343, it looks fine. I'm okay with it. But it seems like they're trying to keep up with Bungie of today. Like when they showed it, it reminded me of the like first Destiny. Like it has this open world, potentially open world anyway. They show a map of the open world, and I'm thinking it seems like they're trying to. It's like, okay, what's Bungie doing? Let's do it now, but with the Halo series and do their own sort of twist on it. Like you said, I some of the effects reminded me of Oblivion. It was just looked awful, but I mean, other stuff looked good. Some of the environment and scenery looked good. I kind of am wondering if it wasn't even played on the Series X yet, or if it was on the previous system. I don't know, but yeah, I definitely saw the fog clipping. I was told afterwards some of the grass clipping near the beginning when he first walks into the grass, and it just, I don't know. This is Microsoft's pride and joy of the Xbox console. Halo, that's its thing. I'm fine with that. Sony had that for a while. It's not as prominent now, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. I could have done better. I think it just didn't. I don't think they got what they wanted out of it. Like, they're not going to sell consoles, especially when you can buy this thing on any version of Xbox or PC. I'm sure they'll sell it, but I mean, I don't know.
Well, and
I was hoping for more.
Even if they sell it, let's say you and I want to play it.
Yeah.
I can probably wait for a promo, get a $1 subscription for a month of Games Pass, play it to ad nauseum for that 1 month, and then just bail. And, I know they're hoping that you don't bail and you stay and they get you on the subscription, but I'm going to bail. I mean, I have
play what you want out of it and then just move on type thing. I mean, like I said, it didn't look horrible, but it didn't give me anything like... I enjoyed the cinematic trailer they released, what was it, last year for Halo? Like where he's flying through the ship. Yeah. I'm like, the cinematic trailer I got more enjoyment out of than actual gameplay. So
I just even thought the pilot looked rough. Like he looked almost Ubisoft like, I think personally Ubisoft is the leading developer now that I think needs to upgrade their graphics engine. Like their character models look rough. They got blocky hair, glossy faces in all their games now. I think, I used to rip on Bethesda a lot, and I probably still will. We'll see their next game eventually. But now I think Ubisoft's become the new Bethesda for like just terrible character like models. But this one, the pilot, the same thing, blocky hair, glossy skin. Just
Master Chief's okay, but you can't see his face because it's covered by a helmet. So
yeah.
I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm sure it'll do well.
But if we're going to talk about gameplay, like I think it's smart to go open world or semi-open world, kind of like God of War did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually
I don't know
comparison.
why people keep calling it Destiny. I'm like, there's no looter shooter action. It's not games of a service. There's no, crappy loot that you're just getting more and more of all the time. There doesn't seem to be any drops whatsoever. So it's still going to be narrative, like single player story, narrative driven game.
Yeah.
But it's just not going to interest me, but it's for somebody. I know people are excited about it. I've seen some poll numbers and people think that was the game of the show, which I'm like, well, maybe it's just because the lack of showing.
And the whole show too, there was not a lot of gameplay for a lot of stuff,
which is funny because they just got dumped on that previous showing. People pointed that out where it's like, oh, you told us to come here to watch Valhalla gameplay and you didn't give us any.
And it wasn't even just the Valhalla.
No, it was everything.
It was other things.
And now they're doing it again. Problem I have with Xbox lately is that they don't know how to make new franchises, so they just extend ones that have gone on too long. You got Bungie now no longer doing it. You got 343. Epic doesn't do Gears of War, so now you have whatever company they made just to make Gears of War. Fable, Lionheart's dead in the ground, so now you created another brand to apparently continue Fable. Like, they just don't know how to start new ones. Like, Tsushima now could be a franchise. Last of Us only came out at the end of PS3. That's now becoming a franchise. Possibly a third one's coming. Uncharted was new to PS3 as well. PlayStation's very good at like just, sometimes taking that leap of faith, allowing a game to become something. Horizon's another new one that we're going to get a sequel of soon. They can start franchises, but Xbox just seems to fumble, cancel, delay until they don't really have new franchises. And this is another problem. Then they get these companies to draw back the past, but they can't capture the magic of the originals.
So yeah, we'll try to go through these a little bit quicker, but Halo obviously is the big one. So there was a brief cinematic of State of Decay 3, which is going to be heading to the Series X and PC. Which
I've never played one before, and I'm not going to start now.
I played the second one. It's okay. It is fun kind of playing multiplayer with a couple buddies, actually running around fighting zombies and stuff. It's another zombie game, but I mean, it's a cinematic trailer, so it doesn't show anything, and I don't recall seeing a release date, so we'll see. Rare offers an expanded look at its new spiritual adventure, Everwild.
It doesn't speak to me either.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
Well, and then
I like Rare, but
what everyone ended off with too is like, okay, what the is this?
Yeah,
Like, what is this game?
what is this game?
Is it a like
Platformer?
platform? Yeah. Is it Pokemon? Like, I don't understand what this is.
I don't know. Forza Motorsport is going to look incredible on the Xbox Series X. Yeah, it's gonna look incredible. But we've talked about what racing games I like. I like the ones where you do damage and stuff like that. It might have it, but
it sounds like another game that they don't have a release date for. It's still in development, so great.
Yeah, and it'll be on everything like everything else.
Yep.
What is this one? Oh yeah, okay. So this one was a weird one. Microsoft is working on an Xbox Series X version of Ori and the Will of the Wisps, using its crazy power.
So here's another just one where I'm like, in a event or a showcase, you're talking about a game patch that's not even coming out till 2021.
Yeah, it's a patch on the game, which apparently is a really good game. I haven't played it myself, but apparently it's really good.
Like, I get that they're excited for the 120 hertz, but like, you're talking about a patch.
Yeah, for a game that I know, like I said, it's good from what I've heard, but I don't know if it has replayability where I'd go back and play it because it's smoother.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like an odd one to talk about, but sure, fine. The next Don't Nod game, Tell Me Why, hits August 27th. At least we got a date.
Yep, that is a date.
Although it's August 27th, so that means it'll be on the previous system, which I think they've kind of all said they're all going to be working on everything anyway.
I looked, and I can confirm August 27th is a date.
It is a date.
It is a date.
Whoa, that's a date. I'm typically a fan of the Don't Nod games. I usually play most of them, so we'll see how this one goes. It's not exclusive or anything by any means, so.
I haven't played one since what was that good one?
Life is Strange?
Yeah, the first one. Thank you.
Yeah, the first one was really good. The expanded, I don't know if it was 2 was good.
I never played before.
There's one I'm playing right
Storm,
now too.
and then I didn't play 2.
That's what it was. Before the Storm was pretty good. And I'm playing the second one right now.
I can't remember the name, but I can remember its off-series title. Yeah.
Together we could piece it together.
Yeah.
What do we got after that? So this one, we saw cinematics of it. It's Avowed. It's the latest one from Obsidian that's going to be coming out. Didn't give a release date. Looks like a new epic fantasy RPG.
Think Skyrim.
It looked like Skyrim. It was definitely a cinematic trailer. They show sort of gameplay, but
I think it was
it's
only
not,
to sell you that, like, hey, if you like Skyrim,
yeah,
because especially with sword and magic, I'm like, you're basically saying you're Skyrim.
It looked like Skyrim. It could be really good. We'll have to keep an eye on that one.
That was definitely probably one of my games of the showcase.
Yeah. They also from Obsidian was another game called Grounded. So this one was like, we're all, I don't know, it looks like you're in the backyard and you shrink, like Honey, I Shrunk Your Kids. And you kind of just, it's a survival game in the backyard where kind of looks cartoony and stuff. It looked not bad if you're into the survival games. It looked pretty good.
It looked like Fortnite without multiplayer.
Yeah, and lots of grass.
Yeah.
Tall grass.
I mean, I shouldn't say no multiplayer. Like, it seems like you are playing with friends, but not like, you know, a battle royale of 100,000 people.
Right. And then there was also new DLC for the Outer Worlds, Peril on Gorgon. That's going to launch on September 9th. I briefly played that. I remember when I saw the cinematic at first, I'm like, what game is this? This looks old. It's the Outer Worlds. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess it's acceptable.
it just, I don't know. It's like, you know, we were talking about a patch note being something to talk about. Now we're talking about DLC. I'm like, do you just not have anything?
Right. The 2 Obsidian games before that, the Grounded and Avowed, sound like those will actually be Xbox exclusives. So we won't be getting those on our PlayStation, it sounds like.
Oh, if only we had PCs. Oh, wait,
there's one right there.
Yeah.
Hellblade 2 is Euro tripping to Iceland. So I really liked the first Hellblade. I thought it was a really unique experience. It was just fun to go through and interesting. Just the first time you go through it, I wouldn't ever play it again, even though I can't remember if there's choices or not. But it's just, I don't know, it's just a unique experience. I can give it that.
I think I rage quit the first one.
Okay.
Just I was not having a good time, and I had to keep replaying, and it didn't have a great checkpoint system, so it wasn't just like a short amount to get to the same fight just to do it. And
Right.
I'm just one of those people where like if I stop enjoying myself, like then why am I playing this?
Yeah.
So I got like maybe halfway through, stopped playing. I don't know. I watched this, and they're basically telling me that they haven't even really done level design.
Yeah, it was
So-
another cinematic one. Most of the
Not
ones we're
even
talking about.
cinematic. It didn't. It was the same trailer
It's true.
for the E3
Right, yeah.
of last year. Oh no, sorry, not E3, the Video Game Awards. So it tells me that you're not anywhere close to this game. This is not a launch game. I honestly wonder if it's even going to come out 2021. If they're talking about level design, it would be a real heck of a crunch to be even late 2021.
Right. But I mean, like I said, I enjoyed the first one, so I'm kind
I
of
love that
excited for this
team.
one.
I'm sad that they're not a part of PlayStation anymore.
Yeah.
I love Ninja Theory. I've Heavenly Sword is one of my favorite games to this day.
Yeah.
So I'm sad, and like I hope them the best. It's just, and I have nothing against this. I'm just letting you know, do not let you put it on your Christmas list. Santa ain't bringing it.
Yeah. As Dusk Falls is an interactive drama about crime, family, and the American Southwest. What was your opinion on this one? This one reminds me of that Volcano High one, because it was not as cartoony, like, but it was very.
But this
comic
one
book
kind of
artsy,
because they showed the developers making it, so at least I understood what this was.
Yes.
Volcano High, I still
Yeah.
like I had to be Volcano High to understand what the fuck that was talking about. This, it's just not for me. It seems like a don't nod game, but just pictures, and I'm like, well, Marvel and DC both have visual comics on the internet. That's what this seems. So I'm like, why does this have to be a game? Just make a visual comic then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what this is. Like, I don't know what gameplay it is. Is it going to just be choices and you're kind of reading a story, interactive novel type thing? Which there are a lot of those out there.
Yeah.
I'm usually into that sort of thing, but I need a little bit more interaction than just
pictures. Painted over pictures is what it looks like.
Exactly. Jack Black is going to be singing on the new Psychonauts 2 soundtrack. So I never played the first one. I thought it was pretty popular, but when I saw the trailer for this one, I'm like, this doesn't look fresh and new to me.
It looks like a Switch game.
It does look pretty like
and even like not a Switch game that's pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, like I'm definitely missed the first one. It's definitely not something I played, but this one kind of was like, and I think the first one was pretty popular. I remember people talking about it. But this just looked, the character looked weird in his head, and I don't know, like I never played the first one, so maybe I'm probably a bad person. It had a weird
like style to it. Like everything is supposed to look weird, but it lacked details. So
yeah, it didn't look fun weird though. Like I didn't have any interest in playing it. Although I mean I like Jack Black, but I mean that's whatever.
Honestly, I wasn't probably gonna play it, but Jack Black's song and like that part, I was like, okay, like this is fine. Right. It's fine.
Yeah. Tetris Effect Connected is coming later this year. So it looks like a potential group Tetris game. And the trailer, it shows, we got gameplay. Or it shows kind of like 3 people playing, and then they do something or something happens where it merges the 3 worlds into one. So I don't know. It's Tetris.
It's more Tetris.
Colorful, good music.
I believe this is just DLC.
Yeah, I think the game's already out. I got the impression that it was out already.
So I'm like, again, we're talking about more DLC. And like, I'm not a Tetris guy, but like, I'm also not against Tetris. Like, I get the appeal. If you like puzzles and competition puzzles, then go to town. Go to town.
Yeah. The next one, which I predicted as the trailer started, is going to be a sequel to the Stalker series. Which I don't know how well the original Stalker. I don't think you knew.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, I had it, but I never played it that much. It was just like a first-person shooter type of, not really, I guess, kind of RPG where there's a lot of anomalies in the world. Like I can't remember where it takes place. Probably somewhere in Russia or something like that. New game that this is probably the one I'm most excited for. I think you're pretty excited for this one too. The Medium. And it had a clip where it shows it how it's rendered. There's 2 worlds, the real world and a spirit world at the same time. So I don't know if that means you actually see both worlds at the same time, or if it's just you can transition between both.
They made it seem like, well, because they literally say it's rendering both worlds at the same time, and they show them side by side, which makes me feel like at times, if not always, it is going to do that. Like that's its gimmick, and it's like, hey, you can not only see how she's interacting with this other world, but you can see how her body's moving in the real world.
Right.
Which, after I explained it to my wife, I kind of thought about it. I'm like, like how old's that going to get eventually?
Like, are you going to have to dodge monsters in the spirit world, but you're going to also do it in the normal world too, which might also, like, I'm wondering if that's going to come into effect, I guess.
Well, and I'm like, or is it just going to be like, you're done with the spiritual world, so it's like, okay, now navigate the apartment building normally until you go back into the spiritual world, and you're paying more attention to the right side of your screen instead of the left. I don't know. We're speculating. I do appreciate that it had some gameplay.
Yep.
Actually, they went into a decent amount of detail. Yeah, I would also say, if not the showrunner for me, it'd be second place then. But it is one of my games to look at. Like
it looked really good. I remember they showed a brief cinematic trailer, I think, on the last conference that they did, and I was excited at that point. So now I'm even more. I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. Warhammer 40,000 Dark Tide may be your next co-op shooter obsession. So I'm not. I mean, I guess I play a good amount of Warhammer stuff. This is I think the same creators of the Vermintide series. So I mean, it's the previous. I don't remember if they showed gameplay footage of this one. I don't think they did. It doesn't ring a bell. But yeah, it was like a first-person shooter type thing. So I mean, whatever. There's a lot of Warhammer fans out there, so it'll do good just based on that. So I don't have too much of an opinion on that one.
I don't either.
Yeah. Destiny 2 is sliding onto the Xbox Game Pass in September. So, I mean, this is another one that's not really, it's not a game announcement or anything, but I think a lot of people will be excited for this one because it's coming with all the DLC and expansions, which is quite a bit of content. I'm actually seeing articles now that Destiny's having to remove certain content. They're going to be they have to remove content out of the game because it's too big, and then they're going to rotate it back in because, I don't know, I guess it's too big for the game or something. I'm not sure. I don't know if maybe they should talk to the guys at Call of Duty who can have 150 gig games.
Yeah.
I don't know if Destiny's at that level yet, but it was pretty big when I last left it. So I'm sure fans who maybe haven't played Destiny 2 yet.
Well, there's going to be the diehards that still want to play it on their next gen console. So they're basically answering that question and being like, but if your friends haven't tucked in, then hey, like they just have to pay this Game Pass fee and they can play with you to the current expansion.
Right.
So I think that's the selling feature here.
And I think this one is crossplay now, because I know I had the console version of the game, and I also bought the PC version when it was on Blizzard.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is.
And then it went into Steam, and I know I think I had to merge my accounts.
Yeah.
So or not merge, choose which one you wanted to use as your primary. So I don't know if that also bleeds into the Microsoft side of things, but it probably does. The next one, which was right away, I texted you on this one. It was called The Gunk, and it reminded me of I can't remember what the series was. Was it Mario, Mr. Sunshine or something, where you're washing everything, all the gunk off stuff? This is like the reverse of it, where it's a vacuum. So you're sucking all the gunk in.
A Luigi's Mansion meets Mario Sunshine.
There you go. So that's pretty much all we need to say on that one. Phantasy Star Online 2 journeys onto Xbox Series X with New Genesis.
I haven't played a Phantasy Star since Dreamcast.
Yeah, I've never played that series myself, but that's a pretty old game, isn't it? Phantasy Star Online 2? Like, it's Japan, right?
It's old for Japan, new for us.
Newer for us. So I can't say I've ever heard anybody in my bubble ever talk about Phantasy Star. Dragon Quest maybe, but Phantasy Star was not one that was... It looked fine. It reminded me of Monster Hunter. That was the first thing that kind of came to mind when I saw it. And then there's this new shooter called Crossfire X. It looked like a new potential... I actually looked it up after the trailer because I think it's also on PlayStation.
I thought you'd be more hyped for this just because it's Remedy, and you seem to like Remedy.
Yeah, but this one's like it's just PvP, I think, right?
Is it?
I think it's just...
No, I thought this was the single player. Like, Crossfire was something apparently, and now Remedy's making a single player story out of it. It's from Remedy, so...
I like Remedy, but this one, when I saw it, I'm like, this is not my Remedy.
And I don't even like love Remedy. I don't have bad taste for them either. Like Control looks fun when you're playing it, and I will get to it one day, and I plan to. But I'm not. I've seen Alan Wake. I'm not interested. It just seems like a lot of the games have a lot of ambition, but they just fall short.
It's funny. See, like, yeah, I played all those.
Yeah, and so like for me, I don't have a big thing. And now knowing what Crossfire X is and how this is just premium single player that's after the fact that comes with a battle pass seems a little, I don't know, like
Throwaway.
messy, throwaway. So, I mean, I hope it's good. And like again, I have nothing against Remedy. I just also don't have much going for them either.
Right. And the last, I guess, big one, which is not really, it's big, but they didn't give us anything, was Fable.
Yeah, that's the one that put a smile on my face.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people that play Fable really enjoy it.
I liked the first one, and then they fell to crap real quick.
Yeah, the first one.
Second one was
loved.
okay. Third one was horrible.
Third one I couldn't even finish because I kept getting corrupted save files.
Oh.
I tried 3 times, I think 3 times, maybe 2 times, and at some point I would get a corrupted save file. And some people would say, "Well, why not make a backup?" Well, I would say, why make a shitty game that has corrupted save files? Like,
yeah.
I mean, 2 times, and it's like the game's updated. Trust me, I update my games. So, but yeah, I'm excited for a new Fable. It's been a while, so
it's interesting because I think I mentioned before the original studio is no longer there. So like, is the same magic coming back? What do we expect? This announcement has been leaked for a bit now. Like it's been out there that this game's been being worked on. It's just interesting that they have nothing to show for that.
Yeah. The game would have to be really revamped. Like back in the day, it had some relatively revolutionary things in the game.
For sure.
But if they come out with the same thing now, I'm like,
it
would feel pretty dated. So they're going to have to do some really new revolutionary things to make it stand out, I think.
Yeah, I'm interested in what direction, because I know there was supposed to be a Fable multiplayer game. That got scrapped pretty hard.
That'd be fun.
So then I'm like, well, are they going to try that again? Or are they just saying like, no, that didn't work. We need to go back to like Fable 1.
Where's, what's his name? Peter Molyneux. He's the guy who sells Fable. Gotta get that dog. He's going to join with you. He's going to come with you on a journey. He's going to be like your family.
You're going to want to love him.
Oh, I miss that guy. I haven't seen him in a long time. And I guess the last thing I didn't actually watch it myself. I didn't watch the pre-show or if there even was an after show. But in the pre-show announcements, Dragon Quest was confirmed as coming to Xbox for the first time in the shape of Dragon Quest 11 S Definitive Edition. They have to add the S, I guess, just because of Xbox. I'm not sure.
Extreme.
Extreme. On the 4th of December. Xbox will also be one of the various platforms to see the intriguing-looking Balan Wonder World, the next game from Sonic creator Yuji Naka, which is also, this is the new Square Enix game that just got announced, which we watched the trailer for. It was weird.
It exists.
It exists.
And it's a thing.
It to me, it reminded me of like a combination of Mario and like a little bit of Kirby. Kirby in the sense, like Mario Universe World type thing, but Kirby in the sense that there's 80 costumes and each one gives you a different power. Just reminds me of Kirby like eating guys and getting their power type thing. I don't know if that's in the game. It's just that's what my head went to when I saw it. So yeah. So that was pretty much the whole show. You watched as well, and I watched it. So what was your overall impression? I thought it lacked a lot of gameplay. There wasn't and that's what they were promising. So I think they kind of missed their mark a little bit.
For the second time in a row.
Yeah. Not as bad as the first one.
Yeah, well, this one had all of 2 games, maybe 3 of gameplay. So yeah, it beats the first one. But Halo definitely took top spot for gameplay. And then, we got a little bit of the medium. And I honestly can't remember other gameplay.
Pulling the list back up so that way you can see.
But State of Decay didn't. The Everwild didn't. Forza didn't. Ori and the Will, I guess you saw them patching it and showing what it would look like at 120 hertz. Great, but that's already a released game, so I'm not going to count that. Don't tell me why. It was a lot of cinematic stuff, but technically gameplay, no.
No, but you know what you're going to get with
You know what you're going to get, but again, no.
Yeah.
We got a CG thing for ever or Avowed. So then even looking there, that's not. It was CG. It's not like it's showing you what
It had to be.
It's going to be first person, like Skyrim like ish. So like again, that's not gameplay.
Grounded.
There was gameplay.
Yeah.
Hellblade 2, no gameplay. Outer Worlds gameplay, but again, previous game, it's DLC. What was it? Dusk Falls.
Comic book style, sort of.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it might have been gameplay. We don't know.
It might have been gameplay. Psychonauts 2, no gameplay.
Nope. I think there was gameplay.
Oh, was there?
That was the one that I just didn't look good to me.
Oh, maybe I wasn't paying attention well enough.
Yeah, that one had gameplay.
Okay, so you got one. Okay, so there's your second gameplay. Tetris Effect had technically gameplay, so okay, we have 3. Then we got Stalker, nothing. Medium, yes, so that's 4. And then Warhammer, I
can't remember if there was.
Destiny 2 may have, I just don't care. It doesn't count.
Didn't need it.
Gunk did it.
They had gameplay.
Okay, so they got 5. Phantasy Star did, so that's 6. Crossfire X, I don't think did.
Can't remember.
And Fable didn't. So I guess you had 6, but still, when you compare it to PlayStation's showcase, it lacked gameplay.
Yeah. So overall, what would you say your rating for the show is?
Probably, yeah, maybe a C+ at best.
Okay. So my rating, I can't remember what I gave my rating on the last one, but in looking back, I should have given the last one maybe a C+. This one, I want to give it, this one's better than the last one for sure. So I kind of want to give it like a B- or B rating.
It just feels too close to Ubisoft, and I thought Ubisoft did better. And I gave Ubisoft a
I can't remember what I gave
B+.
we should keep track of this stuff.
Well, I think we both gave it a B+.
Yeah, I want to give it a B-.
Okay.
So it was definitely an average show. I don't think they hit their mark. Like most of these games are going to come out on every system, every PC. So I mean, the only exclusives I saw were the Obsidian ones, which looked interesting, but I don't think we I think Grounded this year release date.
Oh yeah, if you told me like pick what are the 3 games you want, I want Avowed, Fable, and the Medium.
Yeah, on this list, I'd be like, I'm interested in Halo because I'm always interested in Halo. The Medium, definitely. Hellblade 2, I'm kind of interested in. And then, I mean, I guess Don't Nod because I just like those series of games. So there's not too much on there. Well, on Fable, but that could be 5 years from now. Who knows?
Mm.
So yeah, there was definitely some hits, some misses.
I think that I don't know. You just said it brought me back to like that could be 5 years. I feel like we could say that about a lot of these.
Yeah, they didn't give a lot of dates or anything. It was all console exclusive.
Yeah.
So or launch exclusive. Launch exclusive.
They used both phrasing.
Yeah.
World exclusive premiere. Then it was the one
lots
you said,
of launch exclusives.
and then lots of that.
So it's like, okay, well, so they get the game maybe 30 days sooner or a week sooner.
Could be a year.
Day.
Like Tomb Raider was a year.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, whatever. We have good PCs, so if we really want to play it in that year, we'll do it on there.
Yeah.
But this also kind of goes into our next story too, article number 3. Every game shown in the Xbox showcase is coming to Game Pass. This article comes from IGN.
Every game shown in today's Xbox Game Showcase is coming to Xbox Game Pass, encompassing first and third-party titles. That includes Xbox Game Pass Studios games like Halo Infinite and Fable, as well as third-party games like Tetris Effect Connected and The Gunk. It's previously set policy that all games from Xbox Game Studios will come to Game Pass on launch, but third-party games have to opt into the Netflix-like subscription service. In case of today's show, it seems all of them have. We recently learned that Game Pass Ultimate subscribers will be getting xCloud-powered game streaming as part of their membership cost from September onwards.
So yeah, this feels to me like where Xbox is going. I don't think they're selling their new system very well because I'm looking at lots of reviews and people's comments, and they're like, okay, so I guess I'll just keep the system I already have because everything works on it, and that's kind of the trend I'm seeing. It seems like Xbox is now shifting, or it has been shifting, but I think their policy is now going into, we want to be the Netflix of video games.
Yep.
And I think that is probably a really good strategy because PlayStation doesn't really have that much to compete against it other than PlayStation Now, but PlayStation Now is fairly more pricier than that Game Pass. and I don't think you get
Well, you're not
as much
getting
value.
Well, yeah, you're not
don't
getting
have-
day one exclusives on it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you're not getting brand new games. You're getting older games. You're not even getting all games either, or just whatever they've specifically. I haven't been on there in a while, but it's definitely not a list of every single game that's out there.
Yeah.
They definitely put what they want. So, I mean, Xbox does that too, but their library seems to be building up and not actually losing anything compared to the PlayStation one. So, I think this will be a good strategy for Microsoft. So, I think it'll definitely pay out for them. What do you think?
I think what we're seeing is a separation of identities here. I believe personally, and I could be wrong, that Xbox is almost bowing out of the console race.
Sort of feels like that.
Yeah, and basically giving the crown to PlayStation, saying like, okay, you won, you beat us, we're done. But hey, we're going to go down this path and see how this works. And what they're going for is more, I guess value would be the term I'd use. They want to give you value. So if you want the subscription service, you're getting day one exclusives, you're getting this. You know, if the rumors of the Lockhart are true, then it seems like that's more what they're going towards. I think this xCloud stuff is definitely, it's going to take time, but I think that's maybe their end goal.
And it's about hitting that perfect price point.
Yeah.
Where people are willing to pay that a month and forget about the payments type thing.
Yep.
As opposed to where it's like if they go too high and say $24.99 a month, but you get everything.
Yeah.
That might be a little much for people to.
Because I don't think it would be this generation, but maybe next generation. They feel confident enough in that Lockhart or the xCloud, and then now they're not selling consoles anymore.
I feel like, yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I feel like the next gen after this gen, so PlayStation 6, Xbox 900 XVY, I bet you they're going to be completely digital. I think we might not see physical copies of games anymore.
Yeah.
Like it'll just be these subscription services or purchasing digital copies of the games, and it'll be the end of GameStop and EB Games and all those types of stores. Because I just, it's so easy just to, and that like Game Pass, it's just you're downloading it to your system, you're not streaming it, so it works. So it's not like the Stadia. I don't know. It just seems like that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Just a one-time monthly fee, not a one time, but a monthly fee where you have access to a ridiculously good library of games.
I'm still like the weird one where you are giving people value. Absolutely. I don't mind buying my games though. Like I like supporting my developers. I want to pay the money for Tsushima because I now own it. Like you can't take it away from me with Games Pass. Like not that they're going to or planning to, but yeah, they could just take it off one day and well, you don't own that, so you can't argue.
And how do you divide the money with that? Like you got X amount of subscribers subscribing to the Game Pass. How do they decide how much money does Sea of Thieves get? How much, like, do they go on like, okay, you had this many concurrent users playing at this time, so you get this percentage of the subscription? How do they decide that? It's behind the scenes things that I'm curious about, but I just don't know. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. It seems like a good strategy since there's not really any competition. I guess if you want to include Stadia as competition, but
this terrifies
they're not doing
me
it right.
About those PS5 pre-orders though, because if they're bowing out and this is giving people another reason not to get that console, then it sounds I honestly think it's going to be harder to get our Wave 1 launch of the PS5.
Yeah, we'll try to maybe do a pre-order on 2 different systems, Best Buy and like Amazon or something, just to make sure we get our copy. But yeah, so like I said, good strategy. I think it's going to work out well for Microsoft for sure, especially with playing games on any type of system that you have pretty much. I mean, like even for me, it's like playing on PlayStation, do I spend $80 to get Ghost of Tsushima? Or if it was part of a Game Pass where I pay $13 and I get it, I'd probably get the $13, right? Well, I pay full price if you can get the same game for a much better deal, especially at the rate of how fast we play our games sometimes.
But I also think, we got to keep in mind that like Xbox is only doing this because they're the loser.
They definitely lost out this.
Do you think they would be doing this service if they didn't get their butts handed to them? Definitely not. And it's the same thing with PlayStation. Why you're not getting the same value here? PlayStation's making money hand over fist, doing it the way that's working for them. And Microsoft, like, everyone wants to talk like, oh, it's such a great service. I'm like, yeah, probably, but it's only because they were at the pushed into a corner.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think they love the idea of like, well, all this money for our exclusives like are basically now just trying to keep people here.
Yeah.
Like, you're
Retention.
sacrificing games.
Yep.
Like people like me and you know, like I said before, subscribe for $1 at a promo price for a month. You play the game, you cancel. They got $1.
I did that a couple months ago. I there was like 3 or 4 games on Game Pass that I really want to play. I didn't have anything else that I wanted to play like on my backlog. So I was like, okay, I'm going to subscribe today. I'm going to get through as many of these games as I could. And I did. I did Hellblade. I did that Plague one. I can't remember. Plague's Tale. I played some of that Prison Architect. Did a little bit of Sea of Thieves. I got my value out of it for sure. You just make sure you prepare.
Well, and then like, and maybe I'm not seeing it. Like maybe this is also like on the another side. Is this a way of combating piracy?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because like if you're only paying $1 to $8, and people are doing it that way, so they don't have to deal with bugs and bad downloads and viruses, and now you're getting that money where you wouldn't normally get it. Like, is that just another part of this plan that I don't see? Okay, this one is Article 4. Ubisoft commits to major changes after harassment scandals. This one's from IGN. I should also say that we're a little behind on this. Most of this news broke last week. It kind of came out just before the show, so we didn't get a lot of it, but I'm almost happy we waited because there's a lot more information now. So I feel more confident going into it now.
Mm-hmm. Following a series of abuse and misconduct allegations against Ubisoft employees, Ubisoft has outlined the major changes it will take in the future to prevent these issues occurring again. As revealed during Ubisoft's Q1 2020-21 earnings call, Ubisoft co-founder and CEO Yves Guillemot began addressing the issue with the following quote. While Ubisoft's current performance and business prospects are stronger than ever, we nonetheless face a very serious challenge following the recent allegations and accusations of misconduct and inappropriate behavior within our group. I am determined to make profound changes in order to improve and strengthen our corporate culture. We already have acted swiftly and firmly, announcing and introducing large-scale initiatives intended to transform our organization. Our overriding aim is ensuring that all Ubisoft employees have a safe and inclusive workplace environment. As a leader in our industry, we have to be intransient in order to create an exemplary culture where everyone feels respected and valued. This is vital to ensure that all of the talented people who make up Ubisoft feel fulfilled in their job. Following 3 top executives and the creative director of Assassin's Creed Valhalla stepping down, as well as other employees being removed or resigning, Ubisoft also revealed the major changes it will take, including a series of investigations will take place by independent external consultants, and a confidential third-party managed listening and alert platform has been put in place to enable employees as well as external individuals to anonymously report any harassment, discrimination, or other inappropriate behavior. This external company will deliver regular reports to Ubisoft's board of directors. Additionally, a support and recovery unit has been put in place and is being overseen by an organization specialized in the helping victims of harassment. Guillemot is all personally overseeing a review of the composition and reorganization of the editorial department and is overhauling the way these teams work together. Ubisoft will be transforming its HR processes in order to better prevent, detect, and sanction inappropriate behavior. In an effort to do this in the best way, it has selected a leading consultancy firm to perform an external audit. Furthermore, team leads' bonuses will be tied to the ability to create a positive and inclusive workplace environment. An harassment awareness raising campaign among all Ubisoft employees will be in place that will take the form of training modules. Ubisoft has launched a group-wide questionnaire to obtain their feedback on a totally anonymous basis and has put in place talking and listening sessions for employees on all of its sites with the aim of addressing their suggestions and concerns and identifying areas for improvement. A head of workplace culture has been appointed and a new head of diversity and inclusion position has been created, and this position will be open to both internal and external candidates. Both of these roles will report directly to Guillemot. These changes were announced a day after Bloomberg's released a wide-ranging report that further detailed Ubisoft's history of internal abuse and sexism and included stories of multiple Assassin's Creed games being scrapped or minimized to do a perception that games won't sell with a strong female lead.
I just think it's it's disappointing. One of the bigger developments developers have been, doing this in the shady shadows for sounds like a long time.
Well, in my head too, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's been placed there, but Ubisoft, I was holding to a higher standard just because every time you turn on one of their games, you get that notice saying this was created by a multicultural group with different religious beliefs and da 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 da. But then you find out it's like, I mean, this is different from that sort of, but you see that and it makes you think a higher standard, right? Or maybe like that's the gold standard of what it should be. And then you hear these stories of people getting sexually abused and harassed, and it's just horrible. Well, it's like it's just be better. Some of the stories we were reading of what some of these executives were doing and team leaders, and
that's why I worry about the future. Is like, okay, you can make these changes, and I really do hope they work, and I hope they make the everyone who works under Ubisoft happy. My concern is just reading what happened in the past. Is some of these executives were given ultimate power by Guimond himself. So, one of them being like the worst of them apparently being like a personal family friend of him. He was allowed to literally cancel games, change anything he didn't like. He was given absolute power. How do you write that person up if the only one above him is Guimond and nothing's going to get done about it? And it sounds like that's exactly what happened.
He's a busy guy, I'm sure. So it's
it's probably hard, if you're in Montreal or wherever, one of their many studios, to get a hold of Guimond.
Oh, for sure.
If you have a problem. So that, that's my kind of fear is like, if you keep people with like unchecked power like that, this is going to keep happening.
Yeah.
It's like a dictatorship. How many times did that turn out real good?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like some of the major steps they're listing, they're all good things for sure.
Yes.
It's like, why weren't some of these things already happening? But okay. But I mean, things like where their bonuses are being tied to, promoting like, a good environment and all that for all your people. Like that seems like a really good thing, and most people should have that. Moving on to article number 5, another Ubisoft one. Ubisoft will keep current prices the same for next-gen games, or so it seems. This article comes from Game Informer.
Earlier this month, pre-order listings for next-gen SKUs of NBA 2K21 hinted at $10 price hikes to $69.99 when PS5 and Xbox Series X launch later this year. However, during Ubisoft's Q1 earnings call today, the publisher said that it does not plan to raise prices this holiday season.
We'll highlight the fact that he says this holiday season.
Yes. When the topic of Take-Two's price jump for NBA 2K21 was brought up, Ubisoft CFO Frederic Dugon, or I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Duguet to me. Would only comment on the remainder of 2020, and that's where we get a little worried. For the Christmas games, we plan to come with the same price that previous generation of consoles, and that's what we're focused on at the moment, he said. Later in the call, he expressed excitement for the launch of the new consoles and promising manufacturing reports. Quotations here. It is each time putting a boost on the industry, and that fact that they are able to create the number of machines they want to create is very positive element for the industry. He said in a call, we're going to be there ready with lots of great games for the launch of those consoles, and we're very excited by that. I would say it doesn't really confirm anything. It just sounds like while these games come out for previous and next gen, that they will at least match the same prices, but after that, it sounds like it's
open season.
Yeah.
I'm getting the sense that these games that are going to be out on the previous gen, PS4, Xbox, what is the previous one? Xbox One?
Yeah.
X. Feels like because they're going to be coming out on that system and they're essentially up-res porting the game to the next gen systems, it's probably not costing them as much. So I'm thinking, that's how they're trying to justify it in their heads, maybe. But then the new games that are going to come out for the next gen console, that's going to require a lot more work. So we're going to need that extra $10.
Yeah.
So I fully expect the price to go up unless people, kind of protest it and revolt by not buying games.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do because people want to play these games.
Yeah, there's not much to say. It's just this article is interesting because it's almost an oxymoron. It's telling you that like, hey, games aren't rising. Maybe
Not initially.
Yeah, not right this second, or at least not in 2020. But I'm like, yeah, this kind of almost, if anything, in my opinion, with the phrasing of it all, confirms that they are.
And I mean, I understand they can't say we're never going to increase the price.
Yeah,
I totally get that, but they could have phrased it better.
Even him just specifically saying we're focusing on this holiday season. I'm like,
Holiday.
yeah. Ugh.
We can't look that far in the future, guys.
No.
We don't have a crystal ball.
And I also wonder if that's more like, we're going to see what the industry is doing. We've saved ourselves until 2021. But, if everyone else rises, well, maybe we can too. And we didn't say against it, right?
Yeah.
You already saved face there. Article 6, Spider-Man Miles Morales features optional 4K 60 frames per second performance mode. This one's IGN.
Insomniac Games has announced that Spider-Man Miles Morales will have an optional performance mode enabling 4K resolution and 60 frames per second. With 4K 60 FPS coming as an optional mode, it seems sensible to presume that some graphical sacrifices will be made from the standard mode in order to enable this boosted performance. With next-gen placement emphasis on resource-intensive tech like ray tracing, it might be that performance mode turns those graphical effects off to free up power and divert that into frame rate.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not much to say. Like, it's interesting that we're already getting, like, the Pro features or the Xbox One X features where you got to pick frame rate or you want graphical greatness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they're redoing their engine or anything for the new next-gen systems.
No.
So I think they have a great engine right now. Let's give them that credit. And I think they're trying to adapt it to, I don't want to say a port, but yeah, we'll call it a port to PlayStation 5. So I think that's why we can get this option. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, you have to. We're gonna have to compare them side to side. We'll definitely. I'm definitely getting this game,
I just know that, like, as a specs guy, a lot of these real AAA games, you're not going to get 60 frames of real 4K. You're either going to get 30 frames, and even then, I don't know, like, real 4K, like, it's pretty hard for a PC to do that. So I've always had this weird issue with talking about 4K in the new consoles, because just looking at their video card, I just don't know how they're going to do it. Getting 4K, like, apparently real 4K, we'll see if that's true or not, at 60 frames per second. I'm skeptical, but yeah, like, what are we sacrificing for that?
What is this? It'd be nice if they gave us what the specs are for the standard version. What's the standard version? 1080p, 30 FPS?
From other things I've read, it sounds like, yeah, it's 4K 30 frames.
Okay. Oh, 4K 30 frames.
Yes.
Okay. So that'd be probably, we're speculating, but without the ray trace, or with the ray tracing.
That would be, yeah, like your more graphical premiere version. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm not a frame rate person. Like, I know Curtis was. I think you're a little more than I am.
Yeah.
But if you give me a game at 30 frames per second, I don't care. Like, I'll play it.
If it's a stable 30, your mind can adapt to it properly.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are jumping around all over the place that really gets me.
It'll be interesting for people like me that are, like, now just getting into 4K.
Yeah.
Who waited for the next. I mean, I don't think that many people are like me and are insane enough to just wait for the next console as a reason. But maybe there's a bunch of people like, well, I don't really have a reason yet. Oh, PS5's 4K? Who knows? But that's me. Okay, that is it for our news this week. Kind of a slow news week, but I think a lot of people moved out of the way for Xbox to have its conference and speak its mind while they can wait to drop their sweet goodness later. Other than that, so like we said, that's it. We're done for news. Homework. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is in full development according to the project's director. That one's from Destructoid. Go read that if you're interested.
Ghost of Tsushima developers canceled project Prophecy leaks. This article's on IGN. I guess it was a project that they were working on and then I guess shifted over to Tsushima. So.
I pat myself on the back because I definitely called that I believe Sucker Punch had something previously, it failed, and then they started over.
It makes sense because it was a 7-year gap.
Yeah, which
so,
Rockstar's been the same, but I also think they scrapped some stuff. So
unless you're Anthem.
oh god, nobody's Anthem. Okay, then that was a very short homework. But be sure to be back for next week. We'll hopefully have more news to discuss then. A little bit of a short week, like I said. But other than that, we're sign off for this week, and we will return when we return.
Bye.
Bye.
That's pretty much it for this week for me, anyway.
And then, if I heard you correctly, you said you were grinding with your coworker?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure we have that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grinding with the coworker. Gotta do some featured maps.
Yeah, I heard grinding on the coworker, and I'm like, that's probably.
I think I said with
that's
specifically so that you wouldn't make this joke.
I'm concerned that's an HR nightmare. Like,
Pretty sure I said with because I knew to anticipate that joke coming.
who wants bloopers?
I could have said boosting,
Yeah.
but
We need to pay someone to sit on the couch just like once in a while, be like, that's Steven.
that's Steven Chris.
Yeah. Choose your destiny. Fight. It's just like he's having a stroke.
He's dying on me.
He's stroking again. Going on to Article 6, Spider-Man Miles Morales features optional laser beams
On the freaking head.
on their freaking heads.